pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move right into the current events report. And this evening we'll start with the Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Just brief, I'd just like to congratulate everyone that was involved with the Veterans Parade at the stadium. I just wish we would have had more people on the sidelines looking at the parade, and it was great from everybody who was involved with it, and I just want to thank you for it. And also, I've attended a couple of the foreclosure committee meetings, and I just want to tell you that's a pretty good committee. They really have some great ideas, and they're going to try to come out with some good answers. And I would encourage all of you to come and attend the meetings. Just thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like also to thank the folks that were responsible for putting on that parade. They did an outstanding job. It was a fun day for everyone involved, and it was a good day to pay respects to the veterans. So thank you to Mark Coronado and everyone else in his department and everyone else that was part of that day. I'll be updating my website here with the city on neighborhood meetings. I haven't done that. And the last meeting we had was May 8th, so I'll make sure that that's updated so folks know where I'm at. And also want to make note for those that would like to contribute or to help out this family, Brian and Danielle Grobe, that's G-R-O-B. I apologize if I spelled your name wrong or I pronounced it wrong. They were involved in a house fire, and she's an expectant mother. They have a 4-year-old son. If you go to any Bank of America, you can help out their residents of Surprise. When you go into Bank of America, ask for the Grubb Family Fund, and you can contribute and help out that family. They are working on a place to live right now, and she was an expectant mother due in a week ago, so maybe perhaps congratulations as well for their new child. But it's a good opportunity for the community to get together and help out. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Hall.
Yes, I too would like to thank everybody that was involved in the Memorial Day Parade, and congratulate Mark Coronado for his organization. I thought it went off very well. I too would have liked to see more people. I think maybe next year we ought to do it a little later. And I think we get more people there. But I went to the Surprise Farms groundbreaking with Councilman Williams, and it was a joyous day for those people out there to get that park moving ahead. And I want to thank everybody on the staff for finally bringing that to a culmination. This last weekend, I was involved in the Western Trails familiarization tour, and we had city officials and Chamber of Commerce people and economic development people from Wickenburg, Prescott, and here in Surprise. We all got together and took the Western Trail as a traveler would take it, to see what's involved historically between Surprise here with the White Tank Mountains, through Wickenburg, through the Desert Caballeros Museum, through Yarnell and Peoples Valley and the back way to Prescott, and experience the museums up there. So I think it's a real viable tourism tool for the city of Surprise and the rest of the communities. And we're at the next step now to put together the execution of it. I think all the cities are really excited about it. So, and the mayor, you came with us, and I think Neil from the communications department did an excellent job at documenting all of it. So he took a lot of film, and so anyway, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to cover many thanks to Mark Coronado and the citizens for the Memorial Day Parade. Neil did take a lot of pictures, I think plus about 200, which can be viewed on the internet. And I'd like to mention summertime, keep well hydrated. It's getting hot again. Watch your kids around water. Supervision, always watch your kids around the water. And that is pretty much it for my report. Thank you.
Councilman Longabaugh.
Thank you. Again, the Memorial Day Parade, it rained in the morning, and it just was obviously an event to happen because the rain stopped when we were lining up for the parade, and it was a wonderful, bright, sunny day. And thank you, Mark, and his people for having that happen. Secondly, is the Grove family that John mentioned earlier are only here because their smoke alarm worked. And as I learned from the chief, they rescued everyone got out of the home because it went off. And as I think you've heard me say since I was appointed last year, we need to always be vigilant about keeping our smoke alarms and smoke awareness. Do not let that beeper keep beeping. Put the battery in it. Make sure it works. Because this family, all the family are alive, the mom, the dad, and the child, because it let them know that something was wrong. Unfortunately, they did lose their home, and as John said, there's a way for us to help the family. But remember, the fire department will install one smoke alarm in a home on request. If you cannot afford it or you feel it's too difficult to put one in, call your local fire station, have them come out and put one in. Make sure that it works. If the battery is not working, get them to put a new battery in for you. In addition, for all of us who don't remember the calendar, Saturday is Flag Day. It's a day for us to remember that the flag was created and adopted and authorized by our Congress back in 1777, 231 years ago. Our Old Glory has been around that long now. And lastly, I'd like to mention as a granddad that Sunday's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of you who are fathers and grandfathers, and even perhaps like my dad, a great-grandfather out there in the community and here in the audience. It's our day to be celebrated, or at least to hopefully get a card from our kids or grandkids. I got both this year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Alton.
I would also like to thank Mark for an outstanding job on the Memorial Day Parade. It is a great event. It's a lot of fun. I had more fun on the sideline than I did participating in the parade. However, because I never thought in my lifetime, would I ever be sitting in the back of a convertible waving. There was nothing in my past that would have ever dictated that would happen. But it was a fun event, and I encourage everyone to participate in this. I'd love to see Sun City Grand, the individual clubs there, participate as a club. And it is a hoot, and everybody does have a lot of fun. And most of all, the wreath and the prayer service that happened at the laying of the wreath was outstanding and very heartfelt. I was able to this week tape a new council conversation. I believe that's what it's called, segment. We do that once a quarter for Channel 11, and I interviewed David Lewis of the Regional Chamber of Commerce, Surprise Regional Chamber of Commerce. And the reason I did that is because economically, in economic development speaking, he is so very important, and so is his organization. We need to have and create a thriving retail commercial marketplace here in Surprise. And it's with his wherewithal and his association that brings forth added benefit to the retail and the commercial folks that are within our community. And so from time to time, we are going to highlight new businesses that will be coming into existence. I would like to also thank you to a Denny's restaurant over on Grand Avenue for opening up and for participating in that pancake breakfast on Memorial Day parade. So that new segment will probably be airing within a week to 10 days after they take care of all the blemishes on my face and touch it up. I had various meetings, a number of meetings throughout the area, Maricopa County, with other cities and with other municipalities and in various capacities. And I most recently, I serve as the treasurer of the Western Maricopa County Enterprise Zone, and I went to a meeting with that commission last week, and it was stated that the Department of Commerce is now asking for an audit of that particular committee. Actually, the administrator, which is Westmark, of which we are a member of as well. Well, and it's only solely due to the fact that they are giving the enterprise zone $15,000 a year to facilitate the capability of bringing 12 communities together and acting as an enterprise zone unto its own, rather than administrating their own enterprise zones. It's good money well spent by the Department of Commerce. However, they're asking for a full-blown audit, which is going to cost $12,000, and it kind of offsets the $15,000 that we get. So and I'm just giving a heads up to the council, is that we will probably be coming forward with some kind of an assessment. And it's my understanding that this is the only year that they're requiring it. Future years, they will require substantially less information, but they have to bring it to correct this now. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I too very much appreciated the Memorial Day parade, but I'm not going to thank Mark, because I understand that every time Mark's name is mentioned, Mark has to put some money into a fund that's going to provide refreshments for staff. So, Mark, please forgive me for not mentioning your name.
You just mentioned it twice, Mayor. Mark, 2 more bucks.
Boy. This last few weeks has been filled with meetings for me with other mayors, with mayors and managers meeting. The good thing that came out of that is that I personally will once again have a seat on the Transportation Policy Committee, probably the most important committee related to transportation in the county. So that's exciting news. I'm very proud to serve the city in that respect. Had met with other mayors and county supervisors to talk about Luke issues, talk about lots of transportation issues, the governor's plans, and so we've just been, it's been a real busy 2 weeks. The FAM tour that I participated on actually started on Friday night when folks from Wickenburg, Yarnell, Peoples Valley, and Prescott came down to meet with some folks from Surprise, including Councilman Hall and myself, had a dinner at West Valley Art Museum and kind of kicked off the theme of this tour. And then the next morning started at 7:30. What Mr. Hall didn't share with you was that it was a 17-hour day. So it was a very long day. We started at Herb Museum at 7:30 in the morning, and we got back to Herb Museum about 12:15 at night. And I, too, want to acknowledge Neil for the great job he did, and our driver out of Community Initiatives, Barbara. She had a long day, and she was very sharp and did a terrific job for us. So we've got great staff here. We're very proud of you, staff, and that's why we will mention your names, because we want the public to know that you serve us well. Thank you very much. That concludes my report. We'll move on to the city manager's report.
Mayor, council, good evening, and we have a couple of reports for you tonight. We're fortunate to have the chair of the foreclosure committee to give us an update, and her name's Monica Davis, and there's a lot of energy and excitement about this committee. So,
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Currently, the foreclosure committee meets 3 times a month. We are less than 1 month into the process, and we have already made quite a bit of progress. We're focusing our efforts on what we feel are key elements to consider. At this time, the committee has determined that our challenges and opportunities are centered around 3 general groups of homeowners. The first being those homeowners who have already gone through the foreclosure process and have lost their homes, including those who are so far into the process that they will lose their home. The second group, those who are at risk of losing their home for a variety of reasons: job loss, unmanageable mortgage payments, upside-down property values. The third group, those who have the perception that we are in a housing crisis. They see no bottom, and they are concerned that maybe they should get out now before things get any worse. To help the committee fully define the scope of the situation, we developed an action plan centered around key areas, including counseling and education, communication strategy and legislation, code enforcement and police support, realtors, neighborhood services programs, church groups, schools and volunteers, economic development and Chamber of Commerce, affordable housing programs, researching what other cities are doing and potentially adopting their best practices here, and reaching out to HOAs. To enlist the support of our homeowner associations, we developed a comprehensive questionnaire to be used to solicit input directly from HOA board members and property managers. The information we are requesting covers general community makeup, quantitative data on foreclosures, vacant properties and rentals, and quality of life issues. There will be a modified version of this questionnaire that will be sent directly to homeowners who do not currently reside in an HOA. We are exploring existing programs, available funding sources, and possible partnerships with nonprofit organizations and business professionals, as well as formulating ideas and strategies to create and develop dedicated resources for the City of Surprise. At this time, we have 5 scheduled future meeting dates already posted on the calendar at the city's website, and that goes through the end of July. And soon, I will come before you with the committee's first round action plan for your consideration. So at this time, I would like to ask for guidance from the council on how you would like me to provide future updates for you. I can either do it in a written report, an oral presentation, and you can have any level of detail that you want. That concludes my update. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is it appropriate for council to give some direction in terms of how we'd like that report?
Mayor and council, at this point in time, being this is a report, it would be inappropriate. If there's just a general direction in terms of if you'd like something written, that would be appropriate. But in terms of a thorough discussion as to the correspondence would be inappropriate.
Through your chair, could I say written then? I mean, was that okay? A written commentary would be great on an updating.
That would be
Let's,
acceptable.
we won't talk about asking for a written report from the committee because we need to move on.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Next, we have a report from our police chief, Dan Hughes, and one of the most important things that he does is recruit the very best of the best. So he's going to talk to us about that, and I believe he has a video to show us.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council. We did put together what I consider a great video depicting the Surprise Police Department and what we have to offer. We really tried to do a couple of things, and that is, number one, show that Surprise is a great employer and a great place to work, and that Surprise Police Department is a professional, cutting-edge department. So with that, I'll let you see the video. Thank you.
Thank you.
So today's the day, huh?
Yep,
Are you ready?
sure am.
Baker 4, shots fired at Mound and 18.
Our testing procedure isn't easy. It's not supposed to be. Once recruitment and training is over, basically you're part of the family. And we're going to need to know that you have my back, and I'm going to need to know that you're ready.
I'm proud of our testing procedures. They've served us well, and the training we put our recruits through is second to none. The Surprise Police Department makes it a point not only to arm our officers with the best equipment and technology, but the best training as well. It's rough. I'll tell you the truth, when you make it through, you're ready. You're ready for this job, for the endless opportunities that await you here in Surprise.
For me, this is more than a job. It's more than a place to work. For me, it's a community.
For me, it's about career growth. I became a detective after only a year and a half. It's about working for a police department that actually understands the importance of family time.
It's about answering the call. I'd have to say it's the benefits.
For me, it's about stopping crime before it has a chance to get started.
Oh, the benefits are unbeatable. Medical, dental, vision.
It's about holiday time, sick time, and vacation time.
I've been in law enforcement for over 30 years. I've never worked for a better police department. So if you think that you can stand up, stand out, stand proud, I have only one question for you. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Honey, so are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you?
Baker 4, shots fired at Mound at 18.
It was great. Chief, congratulations on, and no pun intended, an outstanding video. That's really great. Conclude your report?
That's it, Mayor, Council, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to call to the public.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Naomi Spielman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me? My name is Naomi Spielman. I am a bus rider. I commute to downtown Phoenix 5 days a week. We have some other bus riders here. Not too many were able to come tonight. I understand that you have received a petition several months ago from most of the bus riders. The riders who ride the second bus are probably getting off the bus as we speak, so naturally they couldn't be here. In case my accent hasn't given it away, I was born and raised in New York City. Taking a bus or subway is just part of your everyday existence in New York. When I moved to Arizona 35 years ago, I thought I would never again have the need to ride a bus or a subway. 8 years ago, I moved to Surprise. I worked at 35th Avenue in Durango. The ride down Litchfield Road to I-10 took about 15 minutes. Traffic on I-10 was fairly light. There weren't many of us living way out west. Then the Loop 101 opened, and I-10 was widened. Things were even better. In the fall of 2004, I was fortunate to get a job right here in Surprise, 2 miles from home. The first time I've ever had the opportunity to work where I live. It was great. Unfortunately, my job was recently eliminated, and in March of this year, I found myself having again to work downtown. Was I shocked when I discovered how much had changed in a very short 3.5 years? Traffic crawls along I-10, even at 6 in the morning. Grand Avenue is better, especially since they've built the over and underpasses. Getting through Sun City, though, is awful. Traffic on Grand at Thunderbird is terrible and gets progressively worse until you reach the Loop 101. Waiting for 4 or 5 traffic light changes to get through an intersection is not unusual. I began to vanpool on April 1st, which quickly became disastrous after only 2 weeks for reasons I won't go into here. On May 1st, I began riding the bus. I was very pleasantly surprised. The buses are clean, the driver's courteous, the seats comfortable, and the people friendly. Thanks to a coworker, I quickly figured out how to manipulate the online planner service provided by Valley Metro. Originally, it planned a trip for me that would have taken me close to 2.5 hours to get to work. Currently, there is one route from Surprise to Central Station. The bus continues from Central Station south on First Avenue to Washington Street, where it travels west to the state capitol, passing most of the state, county, and city offices. There are 2 buses that service that route. One leaves the park and ride lot at 5:35 a.m., the other approximately 1 hour later. I ride the first bus. Since it does not travel east to where I work at 7th Street and Jefferson, I have to change buses at Central Station to a local bus. Fortunately, the agency that I work for allows their employees
I'll give you another minute. Will that work?
Work their hours around the bus schedule. In the very short time since May 1st, I have seen an enormous increase in ridership. Where a mere 6.5 weeks ago there were vacant seats on the morning ride in, there are now people standing. The ride home is even worse. The route is reverse of the morning, with the bus beginning at the state capitol, picking up passengers along Jefferson Street. By the time the bus reaches my stop at Central Station, they are standing room only. It was reported on this morning's Wall Street Journal news report that gas prices are projected to be $4.75 by July 4th, just 3 weeks away. More and more people are riding the bus for the great bargain it is. But if standing room only continues, people will quickly become discouraged. The commuter buses were not designed for people to stand. There are no straps to hold on to and only a couple of poles near the front. The rails above the seats are way too high for me to reach. If I attempted to hold on to those, I'd literally be dangling with my feet off the ground. Not very comfortable, certainly not very pretty, and say nothing of safety.
Thank you very much.
Okay, can I, one more sentence? I just want to, I want you to remember the movie Field of Dreams, where they said, if you build it, they will come. I will leave you with a quote of my own. If you provide it, they will ride it. Thank you.
There you go. That's very good.
The next person would be Margaret Thompson.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. I'm on the same subject of the bus transportation. I was on the very first bus on the very first day, and times have really changed. We had maybe a half a bus. We had one bus during the day, one bus going in and one bus coming out. None of them which were full. We started out maybe with a half a bus. We had 19 people standing on the way home tonight, which is very dangerous in the traffic that we're in with no way to hold on. We're also full, and both buses, although I ride the early bus, the second bus is also has standing room only in both directions. And with the price of gas going up the way it is, it's only going to get worse. People start lining up a half an hour early in order to be assured that they have a seat on the bus. The temperatures are rising, we walk extra blocks to get to a closer stop to where it's to the beginning of the route in order to be able to sit down. And I know that I've been told that the budget, that the money has been budgeted, but it has not been voted on. So we just wanted to express our concerns and express the importance of a yes vote on getting the second or the third bus. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is Dale Pierce.
Thank you. Dale Pierce, Surprise Farms. Okay, on April 7th, I took the city of Surprise to court to replace my tire on my wheelchair that was damaged by glass. On April 3rd, the deputy city attorney called me up on the phone, told me not to show up for court on the 10th. She filed for continuance. On the 10th, I went to court. The continuance was not signed. The judge knew nothing about the continuance. So why is she calling me, telling me to go to court? Or not to go to court. I would have lost my case. And then I called up Jean Poe after I let the Mayor Schaefer know about the glass. And Jean Poe made her decision that the city does not own or is not responsible for the sidewalks. And she based her opinion on the glass was there, and I let the city know about it. They went and cleaned up one piece of glass on Squirrel Lane. The other 3 pieces were on Cotton Lane. And 4 or 5 days later, the HOA for Surprise Farms 1 was doing their brush and tree trimming. Once they got everything on the ground, they blew everything off the sidewalk onto the other side and picked it up. So now she says, well, being as the HOA did it, the city isn't responsible for the sidewalks. I had a meeting with Robert Beckley and Stephanie Wilson on the 18th of January at Cimarron School, and I had to show them where the glass was. And it's only 50 yards from the school bus entrance. And they keep asking me, we need better directions. How much? I got them within 50 yards of glass, and they couldn't pick it up. On the 18th is when he said he was going to pick it up. On the 23rd, it was still there. I went to my HOA meeting, and John Williams was there. And John Williams left the meeting, during the meeting, and went out and picked the glass up himself in 3 different spots on Cotton Lane. Then I got a letter from Robert Beckley saying that he had his department pick the glass up on the 24th. Well, there was no glass there on the 24th. Then I told him about a pothole on January 3rd, right in the middle of the crosswalk on Cotton Lane and Bell. It wasn't on the 23rd. He wrote on his letter to me that he had the city fill the pothole up on the 23rd. I emailed the city on the 29th. The pothole was still there. I got pictures of the thing where it's double in size. And I've let you know, Mr. Mayor, 3 or 4 times about this in letters to you. When is somebody going to check his log books and find out why he's lying to us? If he's supposed to be doing this, why is he lying? You know, I work for the public parks in California. And every day I did anything, I'd have to write down a logbook what I did. And why, if he's got a logbook here, you got to check his books and find out why he's lying to me. And I wrote the mayor, the city manager a letter. She called me up on the phone. She says she's going to back Gene Poe. Well, if you're a city manager, you ought to check what the facts are. Don't tell me that she's going to go with Gene Poe. That's okay if she wants to. That's fine. But check the facts out first. Find out who owns the sidewalk and who is responsible for the sidewalk.
I'll give you another minute. Do you need another minute?
No, I should be okay right now.
Okay. Okay.
But there is another thing I want to talk about just for a second, about the sidewalks to nowhere. I had John Williams had some meetings over at Over Coffee on 303 and right off of 303 and Greenway. Okay, I went up the sidewalk from Cotton Lane up there. The sidewalk dead ends 50 yards from the 303, so I couldn't even get across there. We got sidewalks going into Ace Hardware, brand new place. They go in about 50 yards and they dead end. We go up on the right-hand side of Bell Road. It's all asphalt sidewalks. You go to the corner, try and push the button across 303, you get stuck right there in the dirt. I had to have people stopping on Bell Road and give me a push out of the thing. And then we got this new Costco coming in, and you're only going to put the sidewalk about 100 yards up there or whatever, and it's going to be all asphalt sidewalk again. So where's the handicap-friendly city we're supposed to have? Now, he's also let Linda Bowles know about this, and she says it's not an ADA issue, it's a safety issue. Well, safety should be the #1 factor in this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And we'll move on to consent agenda. Does anybody any council have questions on anything on consent? If not, may I have a motion?
Move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving to the regular agenda, item number 21.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and action on appointing Robert Ryan to the Planning and Zoning Commission with the term expiring July 1st, 2012.
Thank you. Mr. Alton, are you going to be covering these?
Yes, please. Mayor and council, is as a result of an interview by the selection committee, and the selection committee was chaired by myself and had Councilman Longabaugh on it and Councilman Johnson. And we went through all the appointments. We interviewed for all the appointments that are being made today. And we were going to go by the different commissions and committees. And it was with great pleasure that we were able to interview Robert Ryan. Robert, would you please stand? Robert is currently with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and it is requested of the council to approve him with a term expiring July 1, 2012.
Thank you.
I move to approve reappointing Robert Ryan to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Motion and a second. Please cast your vote.
Unanimous vote, Mayor.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. Item number 22.
Thank you. Consideration and action on appointing the following applicants to the Arts and Cultural Advisory Board: Richard Asadurian, Jim Biendu, Lawrence Mann, Dorothy Reeve, and ex officio Kate Cox, with terms expiring July 1st, 2012.
Through your chair. It is, again, with great pleasure that we have an opportunity to install such fine people for this committee. If these folks were president, if you would please stand. Jim Biondo, okay, and Lawrence Mann, thank you. Dorothy Reeve, thank you. And is Kate Cox here from the herd? No.
I don't see.
It is these fine folks, if you will remain standing, please. It is these fine folks that the committee has, the selection committee has voted upon and has brought forward to you for your consideration and your approval.
Thank you very much. May I have an action?
Move to approve appointing the following to the Arts and Culture Advisory Board: Richard Asdorian, Jim Biondu, Lawrence Mann, Dorothy Reeve, and ex officio Kate Cox.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your vote.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Johnson. Thank you very much. Unanimous yes vote.
Unanimous vote. Thank you. Item 23, please.
Thank you. Consideration and action on appointing the following applicants to the Disability Advisory Commission: Kenneth Hill, Jacob Taylor, Tracy Smith, and Jane Williams, with terms expiring July 1st, 2012.
Again, Mayor and Council, it is our pleasure, the interviewing committee or the selection committee, to ask for your approval of the following individuals for the Disability Advisory Commission. Kenneth Hill, would you please stand? Or, oh, he's not, is he here? Okay. Jacob Taylor. Tracy Smith. Thank you, Tracy. And Jane Williams. Thank you, Jane. Council and Mayor, I request your approval on the appointment of these individuals.
Move to approve appointing Kenneth Hill, Jacob Taylor, Tracy Smith, and Jane Williams to the Disability Advisory Commission.
Second.
Motion and seconds. Please cast your vote.
Thank you.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item number 24.
Consideration and action on appointing Cliff Elkins to the Transportation Commission.
Mr. Alton, if you please.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, it was at the request of the selection committee that we bring Cliff Elkins as a candidate for your appointment. Cliff cannot be here tonight. He is very excited about joining the commission. He happens to be attending a birthday party today, and that birthday party is for the Marine Corps. Semper Fi, and happy birthday to all the Marines that are out there. Your request is for approval.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd like to thank Councilman Alton and Councilman Longabaugh and Councilman Johnson for their time and their great vetting process that they went through interviewing these people.
Thank you. Can we have the official records reflect that appreciation?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Move to approve appointing Cliff Elkins to the Transportation Commission.
Second.
Motion and seconds. Please cast your vote.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. And we certainly do appreciate all of the residents that do take the time to participate in our various committees and commissions. And so I think that I speak for the entire council when I say that we appreciate your efforts and we thank you for them. So thank you very much, folks. Item number 25.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and action on directing staff to acquire 4.94 acres of right-of-way from the Arizona State Land Department located at 219th Avenue, Sun Valley Parkway to Beardsley Road in the amount of $195,700.
Thank you. Mr. Mackey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The diagram that's in your packet is not very, even though for the purpose of acquiring the right-of-way, it's a good diagram, but as far as explaining the context, it's not. Even though this project for reconstruction of 219th Avenue north of Sun Valley Parkway has been delayed due to fiscal reasons, we still went ahead to purchase the necessary right-of-way from state land so that we can tee this, as the engineers say, tee this intersection up and remove that jog. I would like to thank the real estate folks that worked on this. I think we got an excellent buy for a little, just a hair under 5 acres for under $200,000, and it comes out to about less than $1 a square foot, which in today's market is excellent price.
Great, thank you. Any questions, council? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this?
No, Mayor.
Then may I have an action?
Move to approve directing staff to acquire 4.94 acres of right-of-way from Arizona State Land Department, 219th Avenue, Sun Valley Parkway to Beardsley Road, in the amount of $195,700, modifying the city's 5-year capital improvement plan and all associated transfers.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further consideration? None. Please cast your vote.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 26.
Consideration and action on Resolution 08-103, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the necessary agreements for water storage with the Central Arizona Water Conservation District to store water at the, oh my goodness, hieroglyphic, thank you very much, Agua Fria and Tonopah underground storage facilities.
Mayor, Council, before staff gets into the report, I just wanted to say that this item raised a lot of questions, and one of the things that we're planning to do is do a work session on water and hopefully also do a tour maybe of some of the recharge facilities. So just wanted to say that because it is complex, and I think it'll be really interesting for the council. So with that, staff, go
Thank
ahead.
you. We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yes. Evening, Mayor and Council. With me is Christine Nunez, our environmental manager, and the decision to have a work session on this complex water resources in the Southwest is a very good decision. With that, we'll keep it very brief and abbreviated to just the topic. The Central Arizona Water Conservation District contracts before you today simply allow us to now take our existing CAP water allocation and be able to pay it to recharge to help balance our assured water supply in this transition period at a seriously reduced cost. So if we have any questions, we'd be happy to field.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Just through the chair real quick. Thank you, Mayor. We've been paying those credits for how many years, Rich? And we're finally going to start. This is a good thing. We're going to start being able to take advantage of them. But how many years have we been paying those for those credits?
Councilman Johnson, approximately 10 years of the 18 or 20-year capitalization payment plan.
Excellent. Thanks, Rich.
Anyone else? May I have a motion, please?
Move to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute the necessary agreements for water storage with Central Arizona Water Conservation District to store water at the hieroglyphic, Agua Fria, and Tonopah underground storage facilities.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote.
Unanimous vote, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Rich. Item number 27.
Consideration and action regarding the position of the city manager.
Mayor and Council, before you is an employment agreement for the position of city manager. The agreement speaks for itself. If you have any questions, I can answer that. I will let you know if there is a desire to amend any of the terms. I would ask that at that point in time we continue the item to the next meeting because I would need to contact the proposed candidate in light of the fact that he has currently agreed to all of these terms. With that, I'll look to your guidance if you have any questions, or otherwise I'd ask that you'd act on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No questions, please. Motion.
I move to offer the position of city manager to Randy C. Oliver and authorize the mayor to execute an employment agreement with terms and conditions as set forth in the attached employment agreement.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion?
Mayor, through you, Chair, I wish to recuse myself from voting,
Okay.
as I was not present during the interview process.
We understand. Thank you very much. Please cast your vote.
6 yes vote, 1 abstain, Alton.
Number 28.
Consideration and action on Surprise Community Pride Day as a city-sanctioned event scheduled for June 21st, 2008.
Mr. Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This has been asked. This is not a unique idea. This is something the city currently does. They have a Pride Day, and it's been budgeted. It's been successful in the past, and the residents of the city in many of the areas that have seen some of the blight as a result of some of the empty homes and some homes that just haven't been taken care of. Would like to extend this opportunity to the entire city. So I'm asking for council's approval or consideration for that opportunity next week.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Hearing none. Action.
Mayor, through your chair.
Yes.
Is this just a proclamation for Pride Day for the entire city, or is there? I see there's no budget, so there's no money.
I wanted to come right. There's not. Been working with residents, and getting this organized, getting sponsors, and a lot of people have done a lot of footwork. And I wanted to bring it back to this council so we can all have our hands in this. And this is not my idea. This is a resident thing. This is something the city offers, and we're just facilitating it. And by putting our seal of approval on it, it allows the city to step in and use some of the resources that we do have.
On the original town site, they have this community Pride Day, I believe, through community initiatives. Will this be part of it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, is there a plan to get the word out to the HOAs, John, like on the north side of Bell?
Yeah.
Sun City Grand and
Work
Sun
with you
Village,
on that. Yeah.
Owner traditions.
Okay, thank you.
We're to be there at 6:15, right?
4:30 a.m. for you.
Okay. May I have a motion?
I move to approve Surprise Community Pride Day as a city-sanctioned event scheduled for June 21st, 2008.
Second.
Motion and seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote.
Unanimous vote, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item number 29.
Consideration and action on Resolution 08-92, a resolution adopting the budget for fiscal year 2008-2009 in the amount of $358,961,700.
Mayor, members of the council, as you might recall, again, on May 22nd, we had the approval of the tentative budget. We had to do some additional publications, and now we're back to talk about the final adoption of the budget. A brief presentation for you tonight. Every time we come to you, we try to present if anything that may have been modified or changed. We just had one change. Again, what we had is we had to take into account some additional cost, but also a revenue that was associated with it, and that was for arsenic treatment. So what we're trying to do, you see the 50,000 in, 50,000 out. We want to make sure that we're budgeting for that and that we have that in our budget to account for what's going on. So there's no change to the bottom line as to what you had taken action on the previous time. It's just making sure that we have clarification for tracking purposes related to this particular project. So we're still looking at a final budget of $358,961,700. Again, comparatively, we see the 21% decrease from the previous year, again reflective of some of the market changes, some of the slowdown in the economy, changes in capital projects as far as completing those and not doing as many. Again, big amount of our expenditures are one time, and you can see that here. And so the next step, if the council does approve the final budget, is we would come back to you on June 22nd for the property tax levy and adoption. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Would you briefly explain the property tax levy? I don't want to get people overly concerned about that.
Mayor, we have that as a item number 31.
Oh,
that's
okay.
when we would take that item.
We'll be talking about that then.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Council, any further discussion? Good. I would like to thank City Manager for presenting this budget and working very hard with staff. We thank staff for their efforts. I thank council. All of us have put in hours on this budget. And I also want to thank the residents that took the time to come to the budget retreats and to participate. So job well done. May I have an action, please?
I move to approve Resolution 08-92.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Please cast your vote.
Unanimous vote, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 30.
Consideration and action on Resolution 08-65, a resolution of the Mayor and Council approving an intergovernmental agreement between Maricopa County Department of Transportation and the City of Surprise to accept $100,000 as Maricopa County Department of Transportation share of the project that includes the widening of Union Hills from 115th Avenue to approximately 1,500 feet east of 111th Avenue.
Evening again, Mayor and Council. I expected this to be a consent agenda item, and we did not provide maps in your packets, but I think for a good explanation of this project, we probably should use a visual aid here. If I may, for those of you that aren't familiar with Union Hills Drive in this area, it runs parallel to Bell, and it's grown to be a major east-west route because of drivers' frustration with Bell Road. And so we're finding some potential safety issues, especially with the westbound drivers on Union Hills. Some are turning into driveways or entrances to these subdivisions. This Canyon Ridge West and driveway access here. And so a couple years ago, we began to prepare a design for adding a third lane. And thus we could use the existing westbound lane for a center lane for left turns into the developments on the south. Fortunately, about that time, McDOT Transportation Board came out with an offer for a grant for safety improvements, and we met all the requirements. Unfortunately, we didn't get all the money we asked for. We needed about $225,000 more than our own budget to finish the work east of 111th, because when we widen somehow we have to taper back to the original. And in addition, Peoria has a problem with this mobile park here with drivers turning left in there, and they need a storage lane as well. So we applied jointly for the project. Unfortunately, we only got 100 of the 225,000 more we needed. However, our partners in Peoria have stepped to the plate and give us a letter of commitment for $150,000 more. In addition, the right-of-way will be donated by Peoria and Arizona American, so we're going to get a fine project. And so on the agenda tonight is the IGA for accepting the $100,000 from Maricopa County DOT.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like a great collaboration. Any comments? Mr. Hall? No?
Oh, good job.
Okay, we're good to go. Then may I have an action?
I move to approve resolution number 08-65.
Second.
Do we get a second there? I didn't hear it. Okay, everybody, please cast your vote.
Joe did.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Please cast your vote.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Excuse me, Mayor, may I add, and Sunil certainly earning his pay tonight, he reminded me that there's a short fuse on this. So during the next break, we're going to need some signatures on this IGA so we can get it to McDOT tomorrow.
Okay, and that'll be coming shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 31.
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration and action on primary tax levies and to increase the primary property tax levy to $6,394,500 in accordance with truth and taxation. And this is a roll call vote on this motion that is required.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, I'm referring back to a couple of items previous that we asked about the tax levy. Now we're going to learn about it and make sure that residents understand that we're not currently raising their taxes.
Thank you, Mayor. This is also an item that requires a public hearing, so we'll keep that in mind as we move forward. Anytime that the city is surprised or the municipality is going to increase the amount of property tax collection through the primary tax, we have to go through a process called truth and taxation. It's required by the state, along with all of the state forms that you saw and may not have liked. And so we have to deal with that. So in that process, we have to give notification to the residents, and we publish articles in the paper to kind of explain what may occur through what we're doing here tonight. Sometimes that can tend to be a little confusing, even though the attempt was to make it open and transparent for everybody to understand. What we're talking about tonight is the primary property tax is going to be decreasing. The tax itself, the rate is decreasing. So we're going from, we're decreasing it by about 6.5 cents down to 0.5939. And again, the primary property tax is used specifically for operations as we move forward each fiscal year. The secondary tax, although not required as part of the truth and taxation hearing, We do it at the same time because we like to keep it consistent because we talk about the combined rates. The secondary is also going down. As you might recall during the budget retreats, we talked about how the secondary property tax is used to pay off debt that the city issues for general obligation bonds, things of that nature. That is decreasing as well. As you can see, it's just under 2 pennies, and that will continue to decrease until all the debt is paid off or until the City of Surprise issues additional bonds through probably a general obligation bond item that we had discussed in fiscal year 2010, so that's a potential. So overall, what we're looking at is a decrease in the rate that is going to be applied to property taxes. So it's going to go from 0.76 down to 0.6134. So it's not as smooth and rolls out not as nicely, but that's going to be the total. So again, as I mentioned, we use the primary property tax for operations. The levy amount that we're going to collect is about $6.4 million. Again, that's based on valuation increases, and that's information that we get from the county when they go out and do their valuations in their assessments. So this is something that we don't generate, something that the county provides to us, and it takes a look at the new construction and any of the prior property. So we're seeing increases from fiscal year 2008 to 2009. The secondary, again, used for debt, general obligation bonds. The secondary levy is at $546,800. Again, we're seeing a total valuation increase of about 22%. Again, it shows you how the increase is impacting or increasing each year. So how does that look to a house of $200,000 in its assessed valuation? You can see on the left-hand side we got the 2008. On the right-hand side we got 2009. The bottom line is that the total levy is going to be decreasing by $3.04. Any questions on that so far?
Council, questions? No, may I have an action? No. May I have an action?
To approve the proposed primary property tax levy of $6,394,500.
We'll go to a public hearing.
Public hearing must occur prior to the action in the motion on the floor. The public hearing needs to occur prior to.
Actually, no, sir.
I don't think he's done.
By law, Mayor.
We have an action, a second, and then we move to a public hearing. Am I incorrect?
In terms of this, in terms of the truth in taxation, prior to taking an action, we would need to hold a public hearing. So prior, we would need to.
I withdraw my motion.
Motion withdrawn. I do open this to the public. Is there anybody from the public like to speak on this item? Seeing no one, close the call to the public, and once again ask for an action.
I move to approve the proposed primary property tax rate of $6,394,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Call vote, Mayor?
Yes vote.
It's a roll call vote, Mayor.
Roll vote.
Mayor Truitt?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Villanueva?
Yes.
Councilmember Longabaugh?
Yes.
Councilmember Alton?
Yes.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Item number 32.
Consideration and action on ordinance number 08-25, adopting the 2008 amendments to the tax code of the City of Surprise and amending Chapter 46 of the Surprise Municipal Code to make the entire Surprise tax code readily accessible rather than by reference. And this is the first reading, Mayor.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, executive staff, and members of the public. This item requires approval moving the ordinance to second reading. It serves a dual purpose. The first purpose is to adopt the 2008 amendments to the Surprise tax code and make the entire tax code readily accessible by amending Chapter 46 of the Surprise Municipal Code. Now, following each legislative session, Arizona cities and towns, through the Unified Audit Committee, review new laws to determine areas of the Model City Tax Code that need to conform to state law. Okay. The committee meets with the taxpayer advocates and business representatives to draft tax code language, and then they forward that information to the Municipal Tax Code Commission for approval. And once the commission approves those changes, they then forward it to you for acceptance. And so what we're doing here tonight is we're taking a look at the information that was approved and provided to us back in February of this year. They identified 3 changes to the code that would actually take the model city tax code and conform it to the Arizona revised statutes. And the changes included three changes, and that was the clarification of a definition of out-of-state sales tax, an exemption for solar energy devices, and an exemption for architectural engineering fees included in a contract, a construction contract. And we took a look at this information, and we determined that there were no financial impact to the city. Okay. And with respect to modifying Chapter 46, in essence, all we're attempting to do is make the entire tax code readily accessible to the community. That concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Hearing none, may I have an action?
I move to approve moving ordinance 08-25 to a second reading.
Second. We have a motion and a second. This item does require a call to the public. I hereby open this to the public. If there's anybody that would like to speak, please step forward. Seeing no one, I close the call to the public and ask if council has any further discussion, consideration. Hearing none, please cast your vote.
Unanimous yes vote, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Item 33.
Thank you. Consideration and action on items to be placed on future agendas.
Okay, just as a point of explanation on this item, because I think there's been a little bit of confusion in the past, is this is the time where it's an opportunity for any council person to ask staff to bring back an item, or to bring an item, either a workshop item or an agenda item forward in the future. And the purpose of this agenda item is to alert the public as to what council is thinking and where we're going in the future. So it only requires one requester, and if there's considerable discussion and there isn't consensus with the council, then it would require the normal way where it would require a 2-signature process. But if council is generally in agreement, then this item would be a direction that we'd be giving staff. Any questions on that? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have anything they'd like to put on a future?
No, Mayor, but I would like to thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome, sir.
That was never covered in our package as pre-elected.
Through the chair, I would like to, in that regard, I'd like to bring something up that I would like looked at, Mayor, and that is incorporating a YMCA into the Surprise Farm Park.
Okay. Thank you very much. Staff will note that. Anything further? Okay. That concludes item number 33, and we move on to item number 34.
And we need to take action to go into an executive session.
I move to adjourn to an executive session.
Motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Are we going to be coming out with
Unanimous vote, Mayor.
Okay, and just for the folks here and watching on TV, we will go into executive session. When we come out, we'll be coming out simply to close the meeting. We will be taking no action after we come back from executive session. Thank you very much.